Hey friends, it's Judy Klock here, your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Middletown, Virginia. And I'm coming to you tonight late for another video tutorial. And this one's a little bit different from what I normally do. Normally I do a simple stamping card and one that's a little bit more stepped up. My gosh, look at this hair. And then today I'm actually going to work with one of our new products. It is the Thoughtful Moments hybrid embossing folder. So it works a little bit differently from our normal embossing folders and dies. So I thought it was worth it to come on and do a video just on how to use this particular embossing folder and dies. So let me move my cameras. Okay, so here we have the embossing folder. Now it is a 3D embossing folder, so it is relatively thick. Now you'll know the front of the folder is where we have the Stampin' Up! Logo, and that's going to be important, right, when we open it up, because we want to put the ink on this side that has the raised sentiments, not this side where it's got the recessed sentiments. So that's why I say when you open it, make sure that your Stampin' Up! Logo is facing top, and when you open it, it's on the left. That will help you ink and place the matching dies over it. So the way it works is this fits right over these sentiments, and you'll know when it fits because it'll go, it doesn't really snap into place, but you'll feel it just kind of slide into place right over those sentiments. And then you'll put the paper on here, and then you'll close it, and you'll just run it through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine as you normally would a 3D embossing folder. Very important to remember, this is the same as a 3D embossing folder. So in addition to the die that cuts all of the sentiments out, and there's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 different sentiments. The dies also include some of these little pieces, which I really haven't worked with yet, but it's got some leaves and flowers, a couple of clouds and rainbows, and some hearts and stars. So I haven't really played with these too much yet, and I will. I was just a little bit pressed for time. I had a meeting tonight at the volunteer fire hall where I volunteer, and that kind of threw off my day. I was hoping to get down here earlier and get the video done. That didn't happen. So, you know, you got to roll with the punches sometimes. Life sometimes throws you those curveballs, and you just kind of roll and hope for the best. So let me show you what I've done with some of these sentiments. So we ink it up, and then I've made this card, and this is that, what is this name of this paper? I looked it up and I knew I was going to forget. This is the Forever Love specialty paper. It comes in Pretty Peacock, Very Vanilla, Petal Pink, and Moody Mauve are the colors for this. So I like the way the Lost Lagoon and the Pretty Peacock play together. Okay, and then I've just kind of I've stamped, cut, and embossed all in one. And then I've done another card here, just using one piece of that paper, but both sides. Okay, I kind of distressed my modern oval punch with a scissor, kind of distressed those edges, and then just kind of ran some Pretty Peacock over it to kind of age it. And then, of course, we've just got a simple fun fold thank you card. Okay, and actually I'm going to use this one tonight to write a thank you card to my sister. So that will be put to use tonight. So anyway, those are just some of the cards that you can make, but here are some of the other sentiments that come with this, and we'll get to how you ink it up in a minute. So we have Just Because, Oh Happy Day, with Sympathy, and you'll see I kind of backed this one with some Lost Lagoon. I cut it out. This one I cut out with the embossing folder, and the die, this one I just cut out with the die. I did not emboss the underneath layer. We've got Get Well. We've got Love You. We've got Celebrate. And this one, I smushed it up. My fingers were wet, so my ink ran. But this one says, You Make Me Happy. So unfortunately, I won't be able to use this one for a card, but I wanted to show you all the sentiments. So those are all the sentiments. There are 10 different sentiments that you can have. Now, to ink this up, there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. Understand that all of them are messy. Some are less messy. So one way that you could do it is with the brayer and an ink pad. Obviously, we're going to need an ink pad no matter which way. One way you can do it is you can just take your ink pad and just tap it all over the raised images on the same side of the folder that has that Stampin' Up! Logo on the front. So that's one way to do it. Another way is to take your brayer, roll it on your ink pad, right? And then roll it over your images like this. Now, I will say this is probably the least messy of the ways, but the color, you might have to do this a couple of times because the color came out so light. Now, the other way you can do it, I have the glass mat here. You can actually stamp your ink pad on your mat and then use the brayer to pick up colors. I don't really recommend this one so much. For some reason, the brayer doesn't roll very well on the glass mat, but you get the idea. So again, no matter which method you decide on, they're all going to be messy. It's just different degrees of messy. I guess if you really wanted to really have very, very little mess, you could take a dauber and daub all of your words, but I think that would take a very long time. But again, that is another way that you can get color on there. Now, once we have this all inked up, right, we're going to close our ink because this is messy enough without me getting any more ink on anything. Then we're going to take our die, make sure that the cutting edge is facing up, and it's pretty easy because it'll match the words, and we're just going to put it down over the words. And like I said, you'll kind of feel it slide into place, and you know that now that is ready to go. Then I have a piece of, I thought I had a piece of cut 6 by 6, maybe not, very vanilla. There it is. It was hiding. So I have a piece of very vanilla. I cut a 12 by 12 sheet down into 6 by 6, and I'm just going to lay it over my die. Then I'm going to come and I am going to close my embossing folder over it, right? I'm going to flip it over. So my die side is up. I am going to bring in, hopefully without dropping anything, my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Now I am going to use our platform, which is labeled number 1. I'm going to put my folder down hinge first because I'm going to be coming towards me so you can see it when it starts. And then I've got plate number 4. So I've got my base plate, which is number 1, my embossing folder with the die inside, and then plate number 4. And I'm just going to roll this on through. Hopefully you can see it coming out the other end. Okay. Let's move that. Okay. Now, don't worry. We do have a little bit of ink on that, but we're not going to worry about that. I'm going to lift our die off, right? We're going to kind of take away our paper. Now, some will stay. We're just going to push these out, hopefully over here, where they're not going to get too messed up. Okay, now, I might have some ink on my finger, so I'm going to very gently try to pick these up with my pick tool, right? Trying to keep my inky fingers from getting on my lovely stamped, embossed, and die cut sentiments. Now, obviously you're going to have to like wash your folder, and I'll do that later. Wash the die, Okay, move that off to the side. Now you've got all of these beautiful cut sentiments that you can use on your cards. And if you don't want to cut all, let's say you only wanted to cut the celebrate with your with the die. So I would come in here and I would just ink up my celebrate. I'd be real careful. I just ink up my celebrate. Okay, I put a piece of paper in there that was just a little bit bigger than what I wanted to cut, and I put my die on there and I'd cut it. So you don't have to cut all of them out at once. Let's say you don't want to use Pretty Peacock for all of these sentiments. You wanted some in Pretty Peacock and some in Moody Mauve and some in, I don't know, Petal Pink. You can ink these up. That's where you'd have to use like your dauber to ink these up, to ink the individual sentiments up either individually, so you could cut them all at once, or ink each one and just put a little piece of paper there to just cut that particular sentiment. Now, if you're not using the folder, then this becomes just a regular die, and you could just cut out the word celebrate. You could also cut these out if you didn't want to ink the folder. Let me clean it and show you. Let me clean that folder. Let's clean that folder. Let me move these out of the way for a minute. So let's clean our folder. Okay. All right, there we go. So this is the cloth, the cleaning cloth that came with the Glass Mat Studio. This is actually I had a new team member who joined, and she is letting me borrow this for a little bit so I can demonstrate it. Because demos can't order this right now until after celebration. You can only get the Glass Mat Studio right now when you sign on as a new demonstrator. It comes with the glass mat. It's 14 by 17 inches. It comes with the silicone mat, and I could use this to hold an ink pad, to hold little ink spots, to hold little ink. And it comes with this cleaning mat, which is very awesome for cleaning up all kinds of ink. And it's good for adhesive too. It cleans up everything. Look at how great. We had a lot of ink on there, and now it's all gone. Clean my brayer. So it's all good. All right, let's put this off to the side for now. Clean that. Oh, it even cleans hands, folks, because usually I keep baby wipes in my studio, but I forgot. So let's say, let me take a piece of scrap paper here. Let's say I just wanted to cut out the thank you, okay? But I didn't want to stamp it. I just wanted to cut it out. So I am going to now just take this out of the way. I am just going to take my Stampin' Cut and Emboss. Put that back there. We're going to take our base plate. Right. We are going to, I need the other plate. I need plate 2 because we're using a die. I'm so used to just using 3D embossing folders. Okay, so we're going to use that. We're going to put one of our clear plates down. I am going to put my paper down. Okay, I want to do thank you. So I'm going to center it right there. And actually, I'm going to get thank you and the one next to it, which is oh, happy day. Oh, you know what? I'm doing this wrong, folks. I knew I wanted to show you. I do want to do it with the embossing folder because I want to show you that you can do it without getting any color on there. Okay. So we're going to put that there. Now we're going to bring back our plate. There we go. Whew. Getting my workout with this. There we go. All right. Let's see what we have here. So now, if you didn't want it to have ink, you could just, can you see that? You can still cut it out and it's embossed so you can see the words, okay? But there's no ink on there. So that is also another way that you can use the embossing folder and the dies. You can either have it where you have it just with the embossing, or you can ink it up and get the ink and the embossing. And you can also just cut out the words so that you can back them, right? You can use that as a backing to back the stamped and inked words. So those are the three things that I really wanted to show you tonight in this quick little video. I hope you'll give the embossing, this hybrid embossing folder, another look. A lot of times when these products are like, they're kind of standalone, they're not part of a bundle. They just are sort of in the catalog as an item that you can, use. And sometimes when it's not part of a bundle, I tend to overlook things. So that's why I like the fact that I took the time to really see what was there this time. And I'm like, oh, I want to try this embossing folder, this hybrid embossing folder, because you always need sentiments. Sometimes we have stamp sets where there aren't, this hair is a mess tonight, where there are no sentiments. So this is a great addition to have, because you have some really basic sentiments, thank you, hello, celebrate, get well, thinking of you. These are just great sort of all-purpose sentiments that you can use really for almost any occasion. So that is it. I will have a corresponding blog post up this weekend at some point. My sister from North Carolina is in town, so I'm meeting her for brunch tomorrow. So I'm very excited. I haven't seen her for, a while, a long time. So it'll be a nice afternoon. So we're looking forward to that. And that's it for me. You have a great weekend. I will see you next week here on Stampin' with Crafty Klock.